quite straightforward. Score and it's over.
The Carabao Cup is not the biggest trophy in world football, but for us, for United, for my project, it's a very important trophy for us to win because it's going to be a symbol that, hey, Peter Quinton, he's not just speaking out of his butt, he is actually going to bring progress to United. And what better way to show that than to win a trophy in his first season? Now that my exams are over, I'm hoping to see more consistency with the uploads in this series, but hey, only time and my effort will tell. But putting our focus back onto the pitch, it's safe to say that Newcastle United is not an easy team for us to beat. I've done a few rotations here and there with Bruno and Dalot and Onana staying on the team because I still feel that we need those players to win. But main point I'm trying to say is, whilst we are giving youngsters a chance, whilst that is a good thing to do, and it's part of the philosophy of my rebuild at United, it does have its own drawbacks, and it brings the question of whether or not these players are going to be good enough to win this game. But Garnacho is also in the side, and an in-form Anthony Martial is also here as well. And if you check that Champions League video, then you'll know how good Garnacho is, or at least how good he ends up being in the latter stages of the season. Up to so far, the game has been pretty tight. And 30 minutes in, it looked like we were about to finally get ourselves that first goal of the game. Mainu was sent through, he did well to get himself a one-on-one chance, but because he can't quite chip the ball as of yet, that chance is going to be one we may regret in the future. And that future was very near, as in the 54th minute, Newcastle cleverly works the ball into the box and they smash one past Andre Onana. And things got worse, because during an attack in the 74th minute, arguably our most important player of the season goes down, and he doesn't look like he's getting back up. Bruno Fernandes picks up an injury, and spoiler alert, he's going to be gone for the rest of the season. Does the injury concern me? Yes it does. It definitely doesn't help for morale when you're 1-0 down with 40 minutes to go and the captain of your team gets injured. It's definitely stressful in that regard, and I can understand the stress on the players' heads. But hey, I told them that, you know what, let's just play. Just get me a goal, just get us a goal, and we'll see what happens after that. So after Garnacho's heroics and a bit of pressure at the back, this game had only one place to go, and that was penalties. Penalties without the club's best penalty taker. But thankfully the boys were able to keep their composure, and in the end, we were 3-1 up in penalties. And all we needed to see was Anthony put the ball in the back of the net. We didn't need to see any nonsense, we just needed him to score this goal.
And there we have it.
Yeah, I think we move on after that. With Bruno injured, it means there's going to be a lot of pressure on Mount to pick up his slack. We're going to have to convert him into an attacking midfielder and play Eriksen in his position. It's a bit of a desperate tactic, and I don't really trust Eriksen in Mount's position considering his lack of pace and physicality compared to Mount, but hey, we'll see how it goes. We kick off against Leicester City, next round of the Carabao Cup. And to be fair, the game went rather well. Granted, it is Leicester City, it is a championship team, but seeing the confidence in the players, seeing how well Mount was playing, dishing out passes, it definitely made the 3-1 victory feel a bit sweeter, knowing that Mason Mount being in Bruno's position isn't going to harm us too much. So with Leicester City easily dispatched, we can only move on to the next round. January rolls around and we face off against Chelsea twice in the Carabao Cup semi-final. And in other January news, we signed 2 new players in Angel Gomez and Lenny Yoro. But we move on to the Chelsea game, and I'll be honest guys, I played the strongest team I possibly could, all things considered. All things considered, Chelsea is a pretty tough team to face off against, even if they're on bad form. And they're the toughest opponent we've faced so far, and the biggest obstacle in our way towards a Carabao Cup win. So it's safe to say that yeah, I really had to take this one seriously. We were the first to take the lead as we swing the ball to Rashford, he gets past Cucurella and he powers the ball through Robert Sanchez to make it 1-0. From there, Garnacho made a very simple but very good run, leaving him one-on-one against the goalkeeper, and he did the right thing, sweating it to Rashford to give him a brace. Things did get a bit hairy near the end though, as Nkunku blitzed past our defense and scored his one-on-one against Onana. But in the end, we were able to hold on and walk away from Old Trafford with a 2-1 lead against Chelsea heading into the Carabao Cup second leg. But before that, I can report on the promotion and the loaning out of Youth Academy prospect Carlos Silva. He's an attacking midfielder coming from Brazil and he has a ton of potential. Now I'll be honest, I kinda dropped the ball with showcasing the youth academy this season, but rest assured, after this episode, heading into season 2, I will take it more seriously and I will try to make the editing make a lot more sense in season 2, if that makes sense. But another thing to note is our signing of Mohamed Kamara, a defensive midfielder from Monaco. Reason being, Amrabat doesn't seem like he wants to turn his loan deal into a permanent transfer, and we are going to need a defensive midfielder next season whether we like it or not. And if it's not been clear, I'm not too big a fan of Casemiro simply because of his pace and age. But after that, we can head back onto the pitch, face off against Chelsea again, this time at Stamford Bridge, and they're the only team standing in our way. This is the only game left before we get to a Carabao Cup final. So it's pretty safe to say that I don't want the boys messing this up. And we start off the night with Alejandro Garnacho driving into the box, speeding his man expertly and simply slotting it in past Robert Sanchez. And if there's one thing I can say about that, it's that this kid is something special. After that though, Chelsea were knocking on the door and they got the equalizer for the game at least, courtesy of a very decent Nicholas Jackson finish. But not long after that, we see Amad Diallo drive into the middle of the pitch and rocket one past Robert Sanchez to restore our lead in the game and to extend the one we have on aggregate. And after that, I subbed on Anthony Martial and he stayed on the pitch for a bit and he was even able to get himself a goal to further extend our lead and our dominance against Chelsea today. And after a bit of dead air, we see the game itself end 3-1 and we beat Chelsea 5-2 on aggregate, safely securing our spot in the final. And all I'm gonna say is, that final, it may not be as easy as the games leading up to it have been. I mean, obviously it's a final, it's supposed to be the hardest game of the entire tournament, but when I say that, I do say that with that in consideration. It's not gonna be an easy final, believe me on that one.
Such a good player.
A game against any rival is bound to be difficult. I mean, if every game against your so-called rival is an easy one, then could we even consider them rivals? Liverpool is a difficult team. They've won the Premier League, they've won the Champions League, and they've made it the distance, much as we have in this competition. They have a good set of players, but I believe that United has a good set of players too. We have what it takes to beat them. We have the value, we have the tactic. All we really need is going onto the pitch and executing.
The stage is set here at Wembley. A sea of fans beginning to descend upon the stadium for what ought to be a riveting Carabao Cup final. It's Liverpool. They face Manchester United.
What makes him such a threat on the counter-attack? And I'm sure that's going to be the tactics.
In control of the situation. Robertson. It's an effective cross aimed at the back post. Dealt with that ball comfortably. Pressure applied. Christian Eriksen now. Oh, it's a superb challenge. In favour of a short one here. And a goal! Liverpool strike first in the final and just listen to their fans. Curtis Jones. Referee has let the advantage accrue to Liverpool. Giving it away. Rashford, fine pass. He just needs to stay level-headed there. Oh, a goal it is! The equaliser in this final. What next in the drama? Defending play to break it up. Anthony. Weight on the pass. What a magical save it was! Ryan Graffendale. Action from the 5th round of the FA Cup coming up soon on EA TV. It's Liverpool taking on Chelsea.
Well, only 16 teams left, so that game will be fiercely competitive. Really looking forward to it.
Will he shoot? The fans hope so. Can he put them in front? Stopped a certain goal. Well, not away properly. But it was pretty straightforward for the goalkeeper. Sufyan Amrabat. Christian Eriksen now. Well, he's certainly not alone. action coming up for you soon on EA TV. It's Manchester United facing Manchester City. He went in so dangerously with that tackle. Now the referee is the man everyone's looking at. Now options are plenty. Ericsson, is this the moment? And it must be. There it is, and he could scarcely have had an easier finish. They need to get tighter here. Superbly read and executed. And there it is, the final whistle. Cup success is theirs, and they've done it on merit. Look at these scenes.
Well, the evidence of the game as well. They deserve it. They were excellent throughout. What a good performance that was.
And now it comes down to holding that piece of silverware aloft. The sweet taste of success. It has been quite the journey, and it comes to an end in style on the big stage.
Someone has drawn to a close, and the Premier League went a lot better than I expected. To be fair, I hoped for us to finish 4th at minimum, but to finish 3rd above Arsenal and to basically be within a bit of a title race here and there, I'll take that positive any day of the week. On the other side of things, we were able to foster a pretty decent youth academy system this season. Of course, there weren't many updates about it during the season due to its format, and a couple of the players that we picked up already out on loan, they've already been promoted to the senior team. However, this is what we got at the end of the season. This is who we have, and all I'm gonna say is it's looking pretty nice. We have a few players with some decent potential out here, and hopefully next season, if a lot of them get loaned out, maybe, just maybe, we may find one that can actually slot into the first team immediately. Because hey, Bruno got injured. He did come back at the end of the season, but let's just say he's not the same player he was a couple of months ago. And statistically speaking, Marcus Rashford did a pretty good job at striker. 25 goals, 13 assists, Mason Mount chipped in. He was pretty solid replacing Bruno Fernandes, and I'm gonna be honest, it makes me think he may be our starting cam for the future. But you guys are gonna decide whether or not we sell him, that being Bruno. And another highlight was Alejandro Garnacho. For his age, for his overall to go from 77 to 84, he was a very solid player. I was very happy with him, and I think he's gonna have a pretty solid career at Manchester United. Another player I do want to highlight who also grew to an 84 overall at the end of the season is Anthony. Let's be real, heading into the job, he was not a favorite player in the eyes of the United fans. But at the start of the season, when we gave him that right winger position to be a cut inside winger, he showed off his skills. He did definitely feel a bit more comfortable, and for a bit of the season, he was our best player. Of course, he did slow down. Other players took the limelight, like Garnacho, like Mount. But all in all, I'd say he had a pretty decent season, and I have no intentions of selling him. All in all, we had an okay season. We finished 3rd in the Premier League. We got knocked out by Barcelona in the Champions League round of 16, but we shouldn't really talk about that. We won the Carabao Cup, and similar to the Champions League, we should not talk about the FA Cup because we got knocked down in January. And that's how Season 1 goes for United. I'll see you in Season 2.